Hi, my name is Stephen Lynch, also known as DJ Agent M. I'm a DJ and producer from Leeds.
My name is Justin, also known as JBravo CAG, the master of the Bruce Lee style of hip-hop.
Basically, my brother and sister used to like read comics, so like my brother would be like Roy of the Rovers, and like my sister would probably be like Barbie and Cindy stuff, so they were always around and I used to look at them. But I think it was when I was 5, went to this local newspaper shop on the way home, saw X-Men issue 1 reprint, and just saw Cyclops with laser beams coming out of his eyes, and Angel with big wings and stuff, and I just thought it was great, so I just became a comic book fan from then, and a big Marvel fan, X-Men fan from that day.
So what got me into comics was my cousin. My cousin loved to draw. He loved cartoons, and pretty much any of his favourite cartoons he had a comic of, and he collect them. So he had the comics of Transformers, and he had the comics of a cartoon called Masker as well. And so as I got older, I pretty much followed suit with that formula. And so the first comic I ever bought was of a toy line called Supernaturals, which they were the toys that had like holograms in the middle, but it was basically a fake Visionaries. And I never got a chance to get the toys, but when I saw that comic, I just jumped at the chance to just have that.
So for me, it would be Taskmaster. So basically, Taskmaster's powers is he's got this kind of like photogenic memory kind of thing. So basically, whatever he sees, he kind of learns those abilities. So if he was watching, I don't know, basketball, like the best, like Michael Jordan, he would like watch all those moves, memorize all those moves, and then be able to do it straight away. So for me, it's like, that'd be cool. Like if I was to like be in the same room as DJ Premier or Jay Dilla or Ninth Wonder, you know, that'd be great. I'd be able to like learn all their like, you know, their techniques and stuff, and then like, you know, the great DJs like Grandmaster Flash, you know, be able to like scratch like them and stuff.
I would be like Batman, but my weapons would be hip-hop based. So I would have like flying CDs and vinyls that could smack up people, and I'd have a microphone and a mic stand that would be used as a staff, and like my hip-hop mobile would have sonic boom speakers and stuff like that. That's the power I would have. Me and a few of my friends, Technico and CDB and DJ T, we formed a group called the Expandables, which is a riff on the Expendables, because we're old but we still don't know when to quit. So Monks designed our EP cover, and it was very superhero based, and it had us in front of a burning building, and we had our hip hop weapons. I had a sword that had a microphone as the handle, and T had an NPC that was a detonator, and it was other stuff like that.
So for me, it would be Mike Del Mundo. So do you know what? He's quite interesting actually. He's not only just like a really good illustrator, but he's an actual hip hop head as well. So he's passionate about hip hop. He's a b-boy. I did research on him. He's a b-boy. You know, he teaches kids, you know, about art as well as like you know, break dancing as well. So you know, I really like stuff that he's done. He did a comic book for Freddie Gibbs. And
okay.
yeah, it was Alfredo.
Right, okay.
Yeah, he's done the comic for that. It's worth about it's 150 quid, I think it is.
Wow,
but he's done work with Caesar Face as well.
Right.
So he's done artwork for Caesar.
Face, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Southface, yeah. Yeah, so he's done work with them. But yeah, if you check out his Instagram, he's got some really good like illustrations and stuff. Okay. So he's got one picture of he did with Galactus, and basically it looks like he's eating an apple. Right. But it's a reference to Nas, Pete Rock, World is Yours.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Basically, so he's got his apple there, or whatever he's trying to eat, and it's basically saying it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Yeah. So yeah, I love stuff like that. He's not just doing it for marketing. He's an actual like hip hop head.
My favorite blend of hip hop and comics is the man who designed this comic book cover. and his name is Adi Granoff. And to be honest, I just don't know his work. I'd never even heard of him. But I saw this cover when Marvel announced that they were doing the Hip Hop Celebration variant covers, and this was the first one I saw. So this is inspired by Nas's first album, Illmatic, and then they've infused that with the new Spider-Man character, who is called Miles Morales. He's not even the second Spider-Man, but he's the latest Spider-Man. Has become very popular, and I love this cover, and it's part of a collection of covers. I happened to grab hold of the Kamala Khan Miseducation of Lauryn Hill cover, and I'll tell you this, Abe has got all of the covers. He's got all of the comics and he's framed them in his house. Yeah.
This is an unpopular opinion. I think most people would probably say somebody cool like Wolverine, but for me it's Cyclops. I referenced him before. It's probably one of my first favourites just because I got into X-Men. But what I like about him is like he's the leader of the X-Men, but he's also the manager as well. He's the one that brings everybody together, keeps everybody together, keeps everybody on task as well. He's not there to be everybody's friend and stuff. It's just like when there's stuff to do, he's there to do it and stuff. So I always like get him because he kind of has to sometimes hold everything back, his emotions back. I can kind of relate to that sometimes. Sometimes you want to kind of like let loose or whatever, but sometimes in situations it's like you've got to keep it together. Do you know what I mean? To keep everybody together and keep everything on task and stuff. And his ideology is like to keep like his people, like the vision for his people as well. So when Professor X was around, he was the one who tried to keep that thing going and to keep everybody safe and stuff. So I really respect him. But like if you've watched the X-Men movies, he's kind of like not that guy. Do you know what I mean? He's usually out by the first 10 minutes or whatever because they don't get him. But for me, Cyclops is the man. So
yeah, I would have usually said Wolverine as well. I would have usually said Wolverine as well. I mean, because usually, yeah, Wolverine was a character that I fell in love with. But in recent times, a character that I've really gotten to identify with is one called Luther Strode. This is one of the most fantastic stories that I've ever read. And this is actually the third book of 3. And it's about a fella, very scrawny fella who's had a pretty bad upbringing, and he's basically trying to find a way to be stronger so he can protect his mother. So he finds a book of the Atlas Method, which is basically one of these stereotypical strongman, them 1950s striped like dumbbell holding dudes. He finds this method, orders it, and trains in that method, and becomes like super like strong and athletic and agile within a month, and becomes the talk of school within a month. As time goes on, what he finds out is that this book is not actually the Atlas Method; it's actually the Book of Cain. And it related back to the biblical times where basically when Cain killed Abel, God banished him, but the devil bestowed power over flesh, and he'd basically been teaching people these methods and then teaching them how to be really strong, but trying to then subjugate him to his will. And there were people who follow him, there are people that become rogue and become infamous legends like Hercules or Samson or even Jack the Ripper. Then it gets on to Luther Strode, who still wants to be good, but because of where his powers come from, he gets approached by vile individuals that are trying to manipulate him and trying to make him cross to their side, and when he doesn't, they find ways to villainize him. And I've always found that with hip-hop, as hip-hoppers, we centered always kind of face that in society. There's always people that approach us with our culture and our styles, and they always try to approach it as a gimmick. And then when they can't approach it as a gimmick, what they do is they villainize it, and they say it's just bad for the community. It's bad for all it does is provide filth. All it does is provide bad negative energies. They never want to say anything good about the positive messages that people have tried to do, the acts of activism that people have tried to involve themselves in, the ways they've tried to help their communities, inspired others to change. They never really want to speak on these things until maybe someone dies. It's usually that. When someone dies, they talk about how great they are, but while they're alive, they're just trying to destroy them. So that's why I always identify with Luther's stroke. It's very tragic, but in spite of all what he does, he always tries to do the right thing.
There's a rapper, I think he's from Nottingham, called Juggernaut.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, he's produced for a guy that I'm working with at the moment called Oliver Rees. You know Oliver.
Yeah.
Oliver, yeah. So yeah, and obviously he's worked with, he's just dropped a single with Michael Parkinson.
Okay.
And he's done stuff with Children of Zeus. So yeah, he's somebody that I'd really like to like get on one of my beats and stuff. But Juggernaut's badass as well. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So I would work with Tony Starks.
Ah, nice.
Who's
one, yeah.
also known as Ghostface Killer of the Wu-Tang Clan. So yeah, yes. All I got is you. And so this was the first single of his first album, which was called Iron Man. So this is where the references of Iron Man start. And the thing is with Iron Man, in the 90s, no one was checking for Iron Man. No one was checking. No one really, not really. Like no one really. It was like, okay, he's there, but no one was really checking for Iron Man. So the Wu-Tang Clan in the 90s were one of the groups that was really like putting the names of even these, like Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze. No one really checked for Johnny Blaze. No one was really checking for Tony Starks. You know, so these names were at their most popular by being aliases for the Wu-Tang Clan. And then that was really it until the Iron Man movie came out in 2008.
Well, that's one of my favorite bits.
Yeah,
you know,
when they're talking,
when the aeroplane, and then all of a sudden it flicks to they're having a party, and the air hostess is there, all dancing and stuff, and then you've got like Ghostface Killer
playing in the background.
Yeah.
Do you know about the deleted scene? So there's actually a deleted scene of Iron Man where basically starts at one of his is one of his parties. He just heads to a party. It's basically like a Hugh Hefner party, but Ghostface Killer is the Hugh Hefner. Do you know what I mean? Like he's the one that his house it is. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a deleted scene, man. But yeah, hip hop. Like we've always embraced like the comics like that. So there's always been a few people that have had like those kind of aliases, like in their names. You know what I mean? So I think I got this in here. Yeah, guys, it's the same. Anything I've noticed that if I get the same, if it's got these, it's from here. If it's got these little white things, it's from here. So I'm going in here and I'm just looking for new comics because it gets to a point where I'm just like, I just want to see something new, and let's just see what you got. And then I just saw this, and I just saw Prodigy, and I was just like, what? There's a comic called Prodigy, and Prodigy is the name of one of the most popular MCs in New York hip hop, Prodigy of Mobb Deep. Now he's passed away recently, and I think when I saw this put together, this was like last year, so I think it was about 2017 when he passed. You know, and so then I saw that and I just thought I just have to buy it just because it's called Prodigy, and it's about a child genius basically. It's like by the time he was 14, he just knew everything. He had that kind of photogenic Taskmaster kind of thing where he could just look at something and just decipher it, study it in a week, and come back just and ace at it. He did that when he got bullied in school. So he just spent the weekend watching Bruce Lee movies, and then by the time he got there on Monday, he knew Kung Fu and he kicked everybody's eyes. Do you know what I mean? So I love that because his power is that he's just his intelligent mind. His mind's so great that he has to compartmentalize his mind. So he'll have one part of his brain that's constructing a missile that they're gonna blast into space, and it's gonna hit a meteor that's gonna kill us in 2 years. Another part of his brain is competing with 8 grandmasters of chess at once, and he's gonna Skype them at some point. But then he's also like an archaeologist, and he's a billionaire, and he raises money for charity by doing death-defying stunts. But his main weakness is that he's too smart for his own good. So he's always the smartest person in the room, which makes him very obnoxious, and it makes him belittle people around him that are intelligent too. But you know, there's a part in the movie where he gets shot, and he goes to the hospital, and he's telling the doctors, "Just give me my stuff, and I'll do it."
Yeah.
And then he blinks and wakes up, and he's like, "Oh, did I do that in my sleep?" And they were like, "No, you passed out because you were shot. We did it." You know what I mean? And then also because of his mind, because he's too smart, and he's just infinitely smart. He only gets excitement by testing the limits of his body, so he puts himself in danger at any turn. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes for fun, and he don't even really need the money. Do you know what I mean? So it's always like an adrenaline thing, and so it's a high octane. It's about as high octane as I'm describing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a mad comic.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out, innit? So, for me, I'll just go through some of these covers that I've got. Obviously, Justin touched on it. So basically, Axel Alonso, the editor-chief of Marvel, he took over Stan Lee's job, and he's been a fan of hip-hop. I think basically it was the rap group Run the Jewels. They were doing this marketing thing called Tag the Jewels. Basically what they thought was with hip hop, Justin said about like variant editions and stuff. So basically they had the Deadpool, I think it was a Deadpool issue, and they wanted to do a variant which is like a limited run with like a different cover from the original. So basically they thought, oh, okay then, there's a link between like hip hop fans and comic books. Let's see if we put a Run the Jewels type cover on there. Let's see how popular it is. So it ended up being like really popular. So basically what they did was they were rewriting a lot of the stories in Marvel. So they were doing all new Marvel. So they were going to do like variant covers for all of them. So they decided each comic book would have a cover that's a homage to a popular hip hop like album cover. So basically, Doctor Strange. This is an easier one. Doctor Strange is Dr. Dre the Chronic. Bravo's already touched on this one. Spider-Man is Miles Morales is Nas Illmatic. One of the greatest. All new Hawkeye gets to be Pete Rock and CL Smooth. It's probably one of my favourites. Oh, but this is definitely one of my favourites. Kamala Khan is Lauryn Hill. So yeah, I really liked him. Obviously, as a comic book fan, I'd always like buy the number ones because you're hoping like in 10 years' time it's going to be really expensive and stuff. I found now that the Nas one, somebody on Instagram, I think they paid about 400 quid. Right. Something around 400 quid for the Nas. It might even be even more than that. So I think it was more than that. So I was like, man, I need to like keep these like in top condition.
I didn't even know who Kamala Khan was, but I saw the cover. But I didn't know about Kamala Khan and Miss Marvel. But I got the cover and I looked at it, and the character's pretty decent. But it was a pretty amazing concept what they came up with. And the only other thing that I've really seen that got that right was the Genius, the Jean Grey and Ninth Wonder.
Right.
When they did their album concept was based on the similar thing, having they had pictures which were inspired by album covers. So they did a CL Smooth and Pete Rock version of the cover, and they did a Ghostface and Raekwon version of the cover. And they've got about 5 different ones on the inside that are based on classic groups, and I think duos in particular. Do you know what I mean? So but that's the only other time that I've seen that homage been done in like a proper loving manner. And then I saw this, and I was like, yeah, these guys, they've really like hit the nail on the head with it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start framing some of these. Cause, don't even ask me what's in them, because I hardly take them out.
Yeah,
because I don't want my fingerprints to like, you know, mess them up or anything like that. And I mean, I've got loads more. I mean, I won't go. I'll just flip through a few more. You know.
Yeah, this
Guardians of the Galaxy. That's the far side.
Yeah.
This is one of my favourites.
Oh yeah. So this is one that's not gonna be well known by modern, but like, but this is DMX's second album, Flesh on My Flesh, Blood on My Blood. Yeah. And then that one is actually I don't know. I can't
Outcast.
Oh right, Stankonia. Yeah. Stankonia.
That's what I mean. It's like that's the fun of it. You look at it and you think, oh, which one's? But
that's the Roots. Yeah.
Nice one.
Delph Half-Life. Yeah.
Iconic one.
Oh yeah, Greatest Adventures of Spider-Gwen. So that's the Slick Rick album.
Nice one.
Yeah. And 50 Cent. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That one's really clever. That one's really clever. So that's the 50 Cent first album. Yeah, Get Rich or Die Trying. And Uptown Saturday Night. Yeah. That was the first album I ever bought. Camplo, Uptown Saturday Night.
Yeah.
Was the first album that I ever bought, and I bought it because of Lucchini, and I was just like,
oh man,
I bought it. I got Lucchini, and then I got the single of it, and I was just loving the style. So I thought, you know what? And then I saw the cover on the thingy, and I had that on my wall. Do you know what I mean? So as well, so I was like, okay, and I thought, alright, I've got to get this and see what it's about.
And we both got to meet Ski Beats as well, innit? Who produced it?
Yeah, because when Mobb Deep came to Leeds and performed, Ski actually was their DJ, which was. That alarmed me, because I didn't even know that they had a relationship. Do you know what I mean? To be able to be like, oh, yo, Ski, could you DJ for us in another country? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I was more shocked to see him, and I was just like, I had my CD, I was like, here, and I'm just glad he's got it, and I hope it's somewhere in his house. Do you know what I mean? That's it. I just hope it's somewhere in his house, in his collection. It's just there, wherever. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Let's just roll through a few more.
Let's keep going. Okay, that's Tribe Called Quest.
Yes, Midnight Marauders, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's the Pass and Rhythm. That's the first album. That's Pass and Rhythm, and then that one is the Low End Theory. That's the Low End Theory, isn't it? We got
it from here. We got it from here because you can tell because it says we grew it from here. So.
Oh, that's a rocket. Oh yeah, we grew it from here. Yeah. All right, but
and then
that's all.
3 feet higher, rising and stuff.
Yeah.
So have you got another comic book one that you want to talk about? Have you got the boys one?
Yeah. So mine. Well, with hip hop, because we've always been inspired by movies. Like we're always hip hop as MCs. We're always trying to just look through different movies, references, lines, and things like that. And so, like one of my favorites was like Big Trouble in Little China, and for a while, one of my aliases was J Lopan, and it was after David Lopan. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm on one of my things where I'm just looking for comics, and so I've come in here, and Okay's got Jared's got. He had 3 of these books, which is the comic versions of Big Trouble in Little China, and he had 4, 5, and 6, and so I just wrapped them up, and then I was just like, I need 1, 2, and 3. I got to find them, so I went somewhere else and found them, and so basically this comic was about Jack Burton of Big Trouble in Little China, a very cult classic that was directed by a man called John Carpenter, who he writes and directs a lot of his music, and he also produces a lot of the music in his movies, and pretty much all of his iconic movies he's like produced and wrote his own music.
I didn't know that.
And John Carpenter's rough, man. He does all that music, all the thing and all that. He does the music for it, writes, produces.
Sick.
And just music videos for him and all sorts of stuff, man. But yeah, the soundtracks as well. When you're digging in and all that and catching nice samples, and it was just great. But I just loved how they were able to like revisit this story, because it's very iconic, and then it basically just follows on straight from the movie. And so Jack Burton is quite a similar character to Johnny Bravo, where I got the name from the character Johnny Bravo. But Jack Burton is a very similar character where he thinks he's the hero. Like, he's got it in his head that it's like, yeah, it's down to me. But the truth is he's quite incompetent at what he's doing. Like, he's messing up pretty much at every turn. Anytime he actually really does something significant, it's usually like by accident or a series of unfortunate events for the assailant, for the opponent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's very funny like that. But he never quits. What I love about Jack Burton is that he never quits. He never quits on the mission. He never quits on his friends. And he's a proper ride or die individual. Do you know what I mean? And so like, I always found that movie like really inspiring as I got older and understood that what Jack Burton was really about. Because the tale of Big Trouble in Little China, it's really not his story, but it's just that he's so dedicated to what's going on that you just fall in love with him, and as obnoxious as he is at times, you can't help but just feel for him. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I proper got all his books. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's all these stories about defiance is what I really like, and it's what like hip hoppers really take to these kind of stories.
I remember one of the places that I worked, one of the customers basically bought me this as a leaving present when I was going to uni, which is the Hip Hop Family Tree by Ed Piskner.
Yeah.
So basically I remember like watching a video of him, and he's like, you know, he's been a fan of hip hop, but the thing is like he doesn't rap, you know, he doesn't DJ, he doesn't break dance and stuff, but like for him, like the art is the thing that he does, and obviously part of that culture, he participates in that culture. Definitely. You know, for him, he wanted to document the history of hip hop. So for me, like, I'll take this one up because it's quite cool actually. Obviously it starts from the beginnings, like this one just kind of shows the similarities between like comic book, like, and the myths of the mythos of like comic book, and like, you know, with hip hop as well, just like the aliases that you have. And then obviously like the battles as well, because obviously like DJs would battle each other. You know, the whole thing of battling was part of like hip hop culture. So, you know, you'd have your b-boy battles, and then you'd have your sound clashes, and then you have your MC battles and stuff. So obviously it's paying homage to like collectives as well. So the, you know, Fantastic Four, the X-Men, you know what I mean, Wu-Tang Clan, and then like Public Enemy and stuff like that. But then also it just goes into kind of how it all started. You know, basically like Cedric Ave, DJ Kool Herc, do you know what I mean? And then just basically just like how the techniques were passed on, and like people would improve on other people's techniques and stuff. And then obviously like sort of like the gang element of it, and then obviously with that came the battles, and you know, it stopped the violence, because the gangs would come together, but they would come in like b-boy battles and stuff like that instead of fighting. So then whoever won that, you know what I mean? Yeah. So for me, it's like, you know, if you're interested in the hip hop history and stuff, then, you know, you should really check out the Hip Hop Family Tree. They're about 23 quid, good present for Christmas. You know, and they go up to kind of like the more recent times as well. So yeah, you should really just like check these out. It's really cool. So
one thing I wanted to talk with crossovers, like great artists that make albums together. So the first most popular crossover was probably Redman and Method Man. Like when they did their crossover and everyone was anticipating their album, and they've actually a legitimate group now. They're on like their third album. Jay-Z and Kanye West did one that was Watch the Throne, and that did really well for them. Jadakiss and Fabulous did one called, they wanted to call it Freddy versus Jason, and I couldn't figure out why Fabulous was like Freddy versus Jason, but I've got this Fab Freddy, so that's what I had to, it took me ages. Yeah. But with the crossover thing, I came across this, and it was getting, okay, comics, love you, Jared. So this was selling for £2 up here because all this is part of a collection of stuff where it's discontinued comics, and he's like, hey, pop a low price, and I saw this He-Man and the Thundercats crossover, and I was just like, what? How did I not know about this? And instantly bought it, and it is so faithful to its lore on both ends. All fans of He-Man and Thundercats, for real, for real. The ones that are not wanting to hear what Thundercats Roar is about, and the ones that are not wanting to hear what She-Ra, Princess of Power, is doing right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not sure what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? But the ones that really know what is supposed to be going on, get this comic until they figure it out. You will not be disappointed with what they are doing with here. I've got the artwork is fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, they've really got it on the money. They've got it on the money. DC Comics as well. You know what I mean? Rob David, yeah, shout out to DC. I don't really collect much DC aside from like Batman stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I got the Darkness there as well. But yeah, I was so pleased by what they did with that. Do you know what I mean? And it's spot on.
You can find my music on Spotify, Apple Music, just anywhere where you can download and stream music, Bandcamp as well.
You can find mine by looking up JBravo CAG, JBravo CAG. You can Google that. That'll send you to my SoundCloud. That'll send you to my Bandcamp, and you can also check out my music on Spotify.
Right, it's competition time. So basically, I have 5 covers here, and your job is to name correctly the hip-hop album that was inspired by these comics. So we'll start with these ones. This one first. And then this one. Then this one. Then this one. And this one. So the full description of the competition will be in the description of this video, and the prize will be a volume, one of the volumes from the Hip Hop Family Tree.